There is a specific type of person who reads more books than anyone they know. They understand how habits work. They know about dopamine, about discipline, about morning routines and deep work. They have watched the videos. They have bought the courses. They have made the plans, and they are still completely stuck. Not lazy, not stupid, not lacking information, just stuck. And here's the strangest part. The smarter the person, the more deeply stuck they tend to become. If you have ever felt that gap between how capable you know you are and how little that capability seems to translate into your actual life, then stay with me. Because what I'm about to tell you is not another framework. It is not a 5-step system. It is the thing underneath all of that. The thing most people spend their entire lives never seeing. Here is something that took me an embarrassingly long time to understand. Intelligence, by itself, does not move you forward. In fact, and this is where it gets uncomfortable, intelligence can actively hold you back. Here's how it works. When an average person wants to change something in their life, they try something, it might not work, they adjust, they try again. But when an intelligent person wants to change something, they think about it first. They research, they analyze, they build the perfect plan in their head, and then they think some more because smart people are very good at finding problems. They can see every possible way something could fail before it even begins. They can construct 17 reasons why now is not the right time. Psychologists call this analysis paralysis, but that term makes it sound clinical, almost accidental. It is not accidental. It is your brain doing exactly what it was trained to do. Protect you from failure by preventing you from ever taking the risk. The problem is that your brain cannot tell the difference between a risk that would actually hurt you and a risk that would change your life. It treats both the same way. And because you are smart enough to listen to your brain, you stay still. Something is happening in your head right now that most people never catch. Every time you learn something new about self-improvement, productivity, or personal growth, your brain registers it as progress. Watch a video about discipline, progress. Read a chapter about habits, progress. Take notes on a framework, progress. Except nothing actually changed. You did not build the discipline. You read about someone who did. You did not form the habit. You understood the theory behind it. Neuroscientists have a name for this. It is called the information reward loop. Your brain releases dopamine not just when you achieve something, but when you learn about achieving something, which means consuming self-improvement content gives you the feeling of improving without the actual improvement. And for intelligent people, this trap is especially dangerous because the smarter you are, the more you can understand. The more you understand, the more you consume. The more you consume, the more your brain believes you are moving forward. You can spend years in this loop, feeling productive, feeling informed, feeling almost ready, and never actually starting. But there is something even deeper than this. Something most self-improvement content will never touch. Your identity. Most intelligent people carry a very specific story about themselves. The story usually starts in childhood. You were the smart one, the one who got it quickly, the one teachers liked, the one who could figure things out without trying, and that became who you are. The problem with that identity is what happens when you try something and you are not immediately good at it. It does not feel like a normal obstacle. It feels like a threat to who you are, because if you try and fail, what does that mean? Maybe you are not actually that smart. Is the story you have been telling yourself since you were 10 years old wrong? That is terrifying. So instead, you do not try. Or you try halfway, just enough to say you are not really trying if it does not work. Or you switch to something new right before the point where real effort would be required. This is not a weakness. This is not laziness. This is your identity protecting itself. And until you see it clearly, it will keep running your life without your permission. So what do you actually do with this? Not a 5-step plan, not a morning routine, one shift. You stop trying to feel ready and you start building evidence instead. Here's what that means. Right now, the way you are operating, you are waiting for a version of yourself that already has confidence, already has discipline, already has clarity before you take action. But that version of yourself does not exist yet. Confidence is not something you find. It is something you build through small, repeated proof that you can do hard things. every time you do something uncomfortable and survive it, your brain updates its model of who you are, not because you read about it, because you lived it. Start absurdly small. Not because small things are impressive, but because your brain has spent years building walls around anything that looks like risk. You have to go underneath those walls. 5 minutes of work instead of 2 hours. One paragraph instead of one chapter. One conversation instead of one course. Not because that is all you are capable of, because that is how you trick your brain into updating the story. And once the story starts updating, once your identity shifts from someone who knows things to someone who does things, everything changes. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily, quietly, in a way that compounds. That is the thing about intelligent people who finally break through. They do not suddenly become more disciplined or more motivated. They just stop waiting to become someone else before they start living. You already have everything you need. Not the tactics, not the frameworks. You have had those for years. What you have now, if you actually heard what I said today, is a clear picture of the exact mechanism that has been quietly working against you. The analysis loop. The information is high. The identity anchor. These are not character flaws. They are patterns. And patterns can be broken. The gap between who you are right now and who you are capable of becoming is not a gap of talent. It is a gap in permission. You are waiting for permission that no one is going to give you. So give it to yourself. That is all it ever was.